Hi, I'm Dave Merlino.
I'm Dustin Sweet, and this is the Know Their Story podcast. We talk to veterans about their time in service, returning home from war, and transitioning out of the military. Hopefully along the way we'll inspire you to do the same with a veteran in your life.
Because sometimes all it takes to make the world a better place is sitting down with a friend to know their story. Okay, welcome to episode 19 of the Know Their Story podcast. I didn't remodel my house. I'm actually sitting in Spokane for the weekend. It seemed like a really good weekend to get out of Seattle.
Why?
I'm enjoying reading the newspaper articles about the riots rather than experiencing
Rather than experience them firsthand? Well,
them.
that's the sure sign of us getting older, buddy.
Well, anytime you get hung up on the freeway now, you're like, is this just traffic or protesters?
Oh my God.
They have that propensity lately. But still in Taos, New Mexico. Mr.
That's me.
Reed. How is Taos today?
Taos is lovely today. We the snow from last week melted off, and we're expecting a new batch later this weekend. So, yeah, good stuff.
Well, get out with your kids while you can.
Yeah.
All right. Very special guest today for me. We go back a ways, all the way back to 2001 when I joined CBP, and well, I was just customs then, my mistake, and met this fine gentleman as one of my supervisors, but I made a mistake when we were talking and said you were a Marine, and he corrected me and said he is a Marine, was a corporal and an M60 gunner and cross-trained on anything else that can blow something up. So he is a true American in every sense of the word. Went to Vietnam in 1972 to 73, came home, joined the Bureau of Mint, moved over to the Customs Patrol Service. That was too effective, so Customs got rid of it, and he joined inspection. Eventually moving to Seattle, where he met a young yet volatile, a brilliant yet volatile young officer, and groomed him into being a supervisor. Well, volatile is the best I can say about that. But please welcome Corporal Louis Sanchez, or to me, always Supervisor Sanchez.
Thank you.
So now you are enjoying quasi-retirement in Florida. You said
Yes,
you have
I
a
am.
part-time job to help with your gambling, or not gambling. All right, Dustin, I'll turn it over to you.
Actually, it helps out with travel. It really does. And then, little special things that you want to do. I don't have to rely on my pension on it. This gives me extra money to do stuff. So it's fun. I mean, I have a really fun job. I really do.
What are you doing?
How much has your golf improved since retirement?
Well, I'm not hitting the spotted owls anymore or the bystanders. So I'm doing pretty good. I'm getting it down the fairway rather than, somewhere I have no idea where,
That's not as exciting then, if you can always find where it went.
Yeah.
So
It was like hunting for Easter eggs when he used to hit before. Like, where'd it go? I don't know.
well, to answer your question, Dustin, Louis said you are a traffic officer at the Sarasota airport.
Yes, I am.
To which I told you that I will accept nothing less than a viral video of you dancing.
Yeah, we're gonna need that as soon as you
Well,
can
that'd
get
be
it to
real
us.
ugly.
Yeah, I think, have you not seen those? That's pretty much
I have.
how they.
I couldn't compete. I'm sorry. I can't.
All right. Well, we always turn the first question over to Mr. Sweets.
Louis, where were you in life when you decided to join the Marines? How did you come about the decision to turn yourself into a Marine?
Well, I'm originally from Bronx, New York,
Okay.
and what ends up happening was that kind of a long story, but I wound up in Springfield, Massachusetts, living with my oldest sister and my middle sister. There's three of us. So what ends up happening is that my middle sister just got married. She's in the Air Force, and she's on the way to England. My oldest sister just met a guy. She got engaged and everything, and I'm just finishing high school. So I'm 17 years old, and I didn't want to go back to the Bronx. I really did not. That was like out of the question. So my parents are still living there. So anyway, what ends up happening is that I wind up all of a sudden, normally back then you had the recruiters coming into the high school,
Right.
so I saw the Army guy and I was like, oh, okay, saw the Air Force guy. Well, I'm wearing the Air Force ROTC uniform. Okay, I know about that one. No problem. Navy guy came in, I was impressed. When the Marine came in with that uniform, I was like, oh yeah. But I was talking to him and he says, just be prepared. This is not easy. I'm like, I love challenges. That's just me. It's the way I am. And so I decided that's going to be it. That's my ticket out of here, and that way my sisters can live their life and I can, can venture to a new life. Of course, it all looks good when you first start out, the old hugs, everybody saying goodbye because everybody's going to separate ways and whatnot, and crying and whatnot. You get to boot camp, all of a sudden the first day they're off, they're screaming at you to get off the bus. That's when all of a sudden in your brain, you're going, what in the world did I just do? Oh my God, did I really screw it up now? So then you're there. Now you have to deal with it. No problem. Get through boot camp, go through advanced training. That's where I learned about the machine guns and all the other stuff that I had to, use. It was, like I said, it was a journey going through the Marine Corps. But one thing I have to say is that I would do it all over again. It really helped me bring that, take that child and bring it to an adult. Because even as an NCO, non-commissioned officer, which is as a corporal, you finally get your little blood stripe, the red stripe on your pants. That's a ritual all by itself right there. But now you're responsible for other people. You really are. Their training, everything, you're responsible for them. And as you go up in rank, you have more responsibility. I was a corporal, so I just had what a corporal normally has for responsibilities. But it also gave me all the tools that I needed when I left the service and I started working as an officer. All the tools that I needed to actually do that job and do it correctly. One of the things I've always kept in that is that in the Marine Corps, they teach you as a pecking order. So basically the private, make sure that the private gets food first, then the PFC, then the lance corporal before you eat, and then the sergeant eats, and on down the line. So you take care of those that are beneath you always, rank wise, not beneath you anywhere else, but rank wise, you take care of them first. They come first before you do. You never ask them to do something that you will never ever do. Okay, so that was one thing. Marlene will tell you, I took care of those guys. I loved working with the guys that I had and the gals that I had. They were wonderful. They were the best people ever. I kept on saying they're more brilliant than I was. So,
No, there's a whole school of thought there that really transcends.
God.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was that's the take that I took with me pretty much, is caring. The other thing, it also puts life in perspective for you.
Yeah.
The only thing you really have to worry about is dying. If you see somebody hurt, you know how to respond quickly. It's not, you're no longer thinking about it, you react.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things I have to say that I love about the Corps, that taught me a lot of stuff.
Where did they stage you in Vietnam?
I was actually on a vessel when we got there. So we're doing the Gulf of Tonkin. However, we did a couple of operations. We were moving a lot of the South Vietnamese military north. So they put them on, ground security, machine guns and stuff.
Right.
As the helicopters pick these guys up, put them on the ship. We get back on the ship, back in my berthing compartment. We're not allowed to talk to them or anything, leave them alone. They're on the flight deck. Next day, as we moved up, getting ready to drop them off, again, ground security, get these guys off and everything. You have to remember that back then we had the Paris peace talks also.
Right.
So they wanted very little combat involvement, actually none on my part, So here I am out there, and all of a sudden they said, don't you dare. You call if anything happens, we'll tell you if you can, So, okay, good. So here I am, kind of fodder out there, pretty much. But it was, like I said, it was enjoyable. I got to see what the country looked like. I got to see what was going on and stuff like that. And my heart went out to them. They really did. March of 73 was, to me, a moment that I remember vividly. We had picked up some POWs and they brought them onto the ship, triaging, you know, helping them off the helicopters who looked like cancer patients, just thin, kind of pale, grayish, get them off the helicopters and they're quickly into sick bay. They're getting them over there. It was just, you know, it's just that image that just stays with you and you're looking at them and you're going, oh my God, you know, what did they go through, you know? So I remember that part of it. Coming home right after that, because right after we did that, I got my orders to go home to Treasure Island, San Francisco.
Man.
And I'm waiting for reenlistment orders at that point. So I get there to Treasure Island and I've got bunch of leave on the book. So I'm heading back to the Bronx. So take a midnight plane out of there, get to New York, and what ends up happening is all of a sudden, you know, all the cab drivers are lined up. I'm in my dress blues and I got my sea bag with me. And I go up to the first cab and I go, you know, he says, where are you going? I said, I'm going to the Bronx. He goes, oh no, I don't go there. So next cab, no, same answer. Finally, this guy way kind of like 10th car back. Hey, you just come back from Nam? So I go, yeah. He goes, come on. I'm thinking, oh, great. When I tell him I'm going, he's gonna say no. Nope. He grabbed my sea bag, threw it in the trunk. He says, no, sit up in the front seat. Sit up with me. He says, you have to learn. We got to take care of each other. No one will take care of us. I said, okay. What does it mean? You know, what is he talking about? You know, I haven't experienced the stuff that a lot of them experienced back in the 60s, where they were coming home to the airports and all of a sudden people spitting on them and everything. I came into Travis Air Force Base, which is in Fairfield, California. From there, you know, we got a military bus that took us straight down to Treasure Island. So I really had no exposure to a civilian airport till I went to San Francisco International. And it was like, you might as well be a ghost because nobody really said anything to you. They just walked by you like nothing. Got on the plane, came to New York. Like I said, this guy picks me up and he's taking me. Funny thing is, he goes, hang on. So he pulls into a liquor store, we buy a pint of rum. We're killing that damn thing on the way to my mom's house. So we get there to my mom's house, the mom and dad's house. And so he wants to help me with the sea bag. I said, no, don't worry about it. And I said, well, how much I owe you? Now I looked down, the meter wasn't even turned on. I says, no, we got to take care of each other. So I had quite a bit of money with me because there was no place to spend it. So I took a $20 bill, which is a lot of money back then, because he was my angel that took me to my house. I put it on the seat without him realizing. And then I grabbed my sea bag, kept on going, gave him a hug, say, thank you very much for everything. And that was my homecoming pretty much. Of course, parents are just ecstatic because I got home earlier than they thought. And so my mom was ecstatic. She couldn't wait to take me to see my dad. And then reeling back, before I went in the military, Dad worked for Triangle Sheet Metal, who is modular components. You know, both those companies are the same. They did the heating and air conditioning ductwork for the Twin Towers. So in 1972, they were done with the Twin Towers. So 73, I'm coming home. Dad goes, oh, you got to see those buildings. They're beautiful. You know, the Twin Towers are gorgeous. So what ends up happening is that after work, he took me there. We got to see, I got to look at it. Unbeknownst to me, that's where the customs headquarters was at for New York. I actually got to see now, I rode the elevator on the outside, the girders, when they were building it back in 68, 69. And now I'm actually inside the building going up and seeing it and everything. And it's beautiful, beautiful building. But anyway, that was kind of where I was at. Came over, VRA, Nixon just signed off on the VRA, Veterans Readjustment Act. Mm-hmm. So what ends up happening is that all I had to do is show up, sign the, if there's a vacancy announcement, sign out, fill out the forms and everything, turn them into personnel right there. And I had the job within a month, wow. So there's no testing, no nothing. That was a VRA, the very beginning, because that's how they ran it, in the very beginning. Now, of course, you got to do the testing. You get a 10-point preference if you're, if you wounded vet, 5-point, for a regular veteran. It's a whole different ball game now than it was back then. So for me, just to come off the street, actually get out of service within 6 months, which with me was not even 6 months. It was not even a month. I went directly to the Mint, and they had a vacancy, filled out the paperwork, had the interview. They took me up to the range to shoot, qualified. He says, okay, you've got the job. That's it. So that's how my whole career started.
Wow.
Like I said, I was blessed because I look at what Merlino had to go through, and what people have to go through now.
Right.
You got interviews, you got this, you got that, and you got to pass every single one of them, So
It took me 18 months to get hired, between startup process to hired in Seattle.
18 months?
Yeah, because you have a round of testing and then you don't hear from them for 3 months. And then they're like, okay, you made it to the background check. We need all this turned in next week, and on and on. And then when it goes to actually getting assigned to your port, you're given a phone number to the placement specialist, and you call and call and call, and the mailbox is always full. And, that was my first introduction to the government. And so one time I called at like 9 o'clock on a Friday night. I was like, okay, no way a government employee's in, and they should have cleared their mailbox at least. Answered. And I was like, ah. And so, they kept offering me San Francisco and all of the places that, there's no way you can survive on the government salary. And I said, oh, well, what about Seattle? Because my wife had a job, and she said, well, we do have a spot open there, but it's for a female. And part of me was like, I think that's kind of illegal, but whatever. And she said, if you want Seattle, just wait. Like, just tell me you want Seattle. I'm like, you couldn't have, like, I started this process with you 3 months ago, and you're just bringing that up. And so then it took another month, and they called, and I got Seattle. So
awesome.
So yeah, but that
18 months. I was not unemployed that long. I was like out of the service, and within a couple of weeks, I was working at the Mint.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Well, then what? They just take your pulse and be like, "You're hired."
Yeah.
So,
how was the Mint job? Was that cool? Did you get to
What's that?
watch it? How was the Mint job? Did you get to go into the production process and see the whole thing?
It's very high security, of course, because you have, San Francisco Mint does the stamping of the proof and uncirculated coins.
Right.
We also have down in the lower basements, we had gold and silver bullion in those vaults, and so it's very tight security there. And here again, it was nice because there was about 5 of us that were, that got hired that are Marines. We just got out, and of course the captain didn't know how to deal with us too much because he kind of figured, he's just looking at us and going, oh my God, you guys are like, just way too oriented as far as taking care of stuff and also defending something, All of us were good shots. All of us were very proactive. Oh, I got my friends coming out today.
Nice.
Yeah, they keep coming here every day, But anyway, what ends up happening is he just didn't know, normally everybody's melting at us. We're just a high-strung bunch of group, that was it. Yeah, I loved that job. It was nice. I learned, here again, every place I've gone, I've learned something new. And I learned a lot working there. I really did.
Cool.
Then you go to customs and you find out, and I'm going, okay, the security here is not that tight.
that's just whatever.
Yeah.
Gold is worth more than the border.
Yeah.
So I want to step back. When you were recruited, and you said the Marine recruiter, did they use kind of the reverse psychology of, well, this is a very tough job. Only a few can do it. I doubt you'll make it.
Not really. He said, it's going to be a challenge. It is a tough job. He said, I'm not going to kid with you. It's going to be tough, but it's challenging. He says, if you're up for the challenge, I would go for it. This job is going to open a lot of doors for you in the future. And he was right. Absolutely right. As far as that I'm concerned, I don't think he had any trying to sell the Marine Corps in a smooth way. He was telling it like it is, this is what's going on. We're first to fight, blah, 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 So I knew what I was getting into getting there. I just, I heard the words, but the experience came when all of a sudden drill instructor got in the bus and started screaming at us, get your feet on those yellow footprints. It's like, oh, okay. This is where it begins.
Like Forrest Gump.
Yes. Yeah.
But look at, like you said, the Paris peace talks were going on. I mean, when you were actually in Vietnam, but it was starting to wind down. Did you think when you were signing the dotted line that you were going to have a good chance of going to Vietnam? Or
this is how a 17-year-old was thinking, okay? All my uncles have been in the military. My youngest uncle just came back from Vietnam, okay? He was in the Army. I'm the only one that went into the Marine Corps, all of them were in the Army. So what ends up happening is that I wanted to be in the military and I wanted to be part of the Vietnam War. I really did. Why? I look back and I go, more to say, just so I can say that, oh yeah, I'm right with my uncles. World War II, Korea, and Vietnam, So yeah, I knew that. I kind of figured that's where I'm going to go, because even the recruiter said, it's still going on. Great chances you're going to wind up going there.
Okay, no problem. In terms of coming home and getting back, I mean, you got the job right away and you fell back in with Marines. You didn't have a lot of time, not being employed, but what was the reflection time like for you coming home, like that first night, meeting your parents and then going to sleep in your bed?
Everything was strange, totally strange, in a sense that you remember the apartment very well. Oh, this was my old room here, this and that. Saw some of my friends, and it was like all of a sudden time stood still for them. They're still doing the same stuff were doing 3 years ago. And I was like, I'm beyond that at this point. It's just not. It was like being in the twilight zone almost. It was like, but it took me a while. It took me a while to really feel that I'm back stateside. It's just that things are different. It's the same stuff, but you're looking at it differently. And that was what it was for me. It just took me a while, but it was nice when I worked at the Mint because there's 5 of us. We took care of each other. We were able to talk, able to express ourselves, able to, if we're feeling depressed, let's talk about it, And so we really did take care of each other. That, I have to say, was a gift that I had. That was having those other guys there, working with them. They really did help. I think we helped each other through the whole transition of things. Really did. And what more can I say?
Well, and that actually leads in. It's a question we usually ask later in the episode, but in terms of talking and for other Vietnam vets and for veterans coming home today, what advice do you have for them in terms of talking? Not even just your, quote unquote professional.
I keep saying, later in life, my bag ripped open and I had to go for counseling. And that helped me out a lot. To the veterans, all I have to say is going to counseling doesn't mean that you're weak, okay? It does not mean that at all. Talking to another vet is one of the best things because they understand. They've been there and everything, okay? Reach out. Don't swallow it. Don't think that, just throw some dirt on it and walk it off. It's not going to be that way. Little burps come up every so often, and that's going to be normal, okay? We are seeing stuff at that age that no one should be seeing at that age, So reach out. It doesn't mean that you're less of a man or less of a woman, reach out. And that's all I keep saying, about the whole thing. Don't be afraid to do that.
Yeah, we've been talking about trying, Chris Lozano, who was on the show, it's a Marine. We talked about it on his episode. One of his Marines has had 5 squad mates commit suicide since the lockdown started, and lost another one to an OD. And
Yeah.
we've been trying to figure out a way to do kind of like a campaign or reach out, whatever we can leverage. We were talking about, reach out, check in. Our producer, who used to be in advertising and is way smarter than us, shout out Jack Ferris, talked about touch base, like just touch base with someone. Is it even just the small things? Like I'm going to go to the opposite end of that for a family member, or maybe you aren't feeling the need to talk, but someone else may feel the need to talk. How important is it just to touch base like that, even a small thing, a text message?
Just listen, sit down and listen. Don't interject. Don't tell him, oh, it's going to be okay. Don't, let's be real, okay? Just listen to him, and if he needs help with something, help out. I also belong to a Marine Corps Facebook page, and there are a lot of prayer requests on those things, on that page, from different Marines. I had one, matter of fact, asking for prayer because he's getting his leg amputated. He's talking about getting amputated tomorrow. And all of a sudden, after surgery, he showed, the bandages on. He said, well, I'm a little shorter than what I was yesterday. So all the responses he was getting on Facebook was, hang in there, brother, we're praying for you, and just really, really nice comments that showing that people do care. We care about each other. We also have women Marines that are on there as well. It's a phenomenal Facebook, like I said, but there's a list of people that are asking for prayer because they're hurting. I need somebody to call me, please. I really feel like I don't want to live anymore. Boom. I'm sure he got all the calls, one after another. Because that's all you got to say is help. And put a phone number on there, they're going to call. So it's great. I look at today compared to 1973. We didn't have that. We were still on rotary phones. Okay, we didn't. There's no face, no face time at all. It's you got to go down there and visit them. So today, it's a little bit better in a way. If they're willing to reach out, it's a whole lot better because there are people that care out there. Regardless of what some people think. There are a lot of beautiful human beings here in the United States, absolutely wonderful, that are willing to help you out with anything. And like I said, the Marine Corps page is nice, really is. It's on Facebook. That's one of the ones I belong to, as well as Legacy Customs and Customs Old Timers. And
yeah, I've got a couple, just even police pages that I'm on, and all the groups on Facebook, if you find like-minded, it's just nice to check in every once in a while.
It's good to have a tribe, man, for sure. Luis, I want to jump back a little bit to something you said earlier about taking the elevators up on the outside of the Twin Towers. Did you go back to Ground Zero after they came down? Did you like live the whole life of that building?
The year before 9/11, I had my daughters, and we were at the Hilton across the street, just literally across the street. So they got to see the towers and everything. The day the towers went down, I went to New York, I think a year after that. And you could still,
yeah.
I went into the church and I lost it. I was in tears, because in the church you had Oklahoma Loves You, big banners from different states and stuff like that. And you could almost sense how tired the police and the fire department were. That's where they were sleeping, in that church that provided a lot of stuff. On the outside, they have a wrought iron fence, and they were telling me that they had clothing that they were finding, and they were hanging them on the wrought iron fence on the spikes, and you could smell that flesh burn smell, so that eerie smell and everything was there. It's just, knowing what happened and how many people lost their lives and everything, I just lost it. I did. I felt the pain. I really did,
Yeah, it's a crazy space.
Yeah.
And especially for you, I mean, for any one of us, just knowing what happened that day, who were alive that day and remember seeing, I mean, we've got people joining the military who were born at this point, but for you even to have ridden up the girders when it was being built and know that your dad helped build that just has to, I mean, really kind of double or triple down on that for you.
Yeah.
I've been trying to you have a special place here kind of in this movie because you were the very first person to ever show me the CBS footage of Craig Jorgensen getting shot. And I remember, because Craig, I met Craig as we worked together. I remember we were in the break room and you came in with a VHS tape for our younger viewers. I would say like a cassette tape, but you don't know what that is either. But you plugged it in and you said, "That's Craig." And we're like, "No, bull something else."
So you hear that voice.
Yeah, I was walking down the trail. So, but for you, I mean, we went on several burn runs together, just you, Craig, and I, and obviously I know the rapport. But for you, I mean, he was in the Army, you were a Marine, but did you have that extra shared experience when you first met and just both Vietnam vets and kind of fell in right away, or what was that like? I mean, there's a lot of veterans in customs.
It was our sense of humor. Craig and I have a warped sense of humor, and we just absolutely hit it along from day one. Being in the military, of course, we respect each other very much. That was a given. But Craig and I hit along as soon as we started throwing humor back at each other. Well, you've been stuck with us in a van, so
only for hours, only for a day at a time.
Yeah. Any more than that, I would have helped. I would have showed you who my counselor was.
A lot of puns being thrown back and forth, Dustin. Just so you know. A lot.
I've met Craig.
He is a hoot. He really is. Good person.
Yeah. But yeah, there were, just even expanding it though, like the cab driver said, we've got to take care of each other. But did you have a special, I don't want to say subspace, but just a community, even inside the community, just knowing there's other vets there inside the job?
The church I belonged to, what ended up happening was that we had three rehab houses that needed a manager. So I did that for a while. This is a clean and sober place. So it's giving back, helping these guys through, because I know a lot. These guys were not vets, but I know a lot of vets that went through this and are still going through it today. And it's just a way of giving back of some sort. Wife and I actually have done quite a few things through church in helping people strengthen their marriages. We've done a bunch of stuff through church for the community, but I love doing that. That's just me. Here he was talking about, what are you doing working? I says, I love my job. I get to talk to people on the curb and as I move them along, but I get to meet people from all over, and it's a lot of fun. It really is. And that's kind of a way of giving back as well, making them feel at home when they come, when they arrive here for the first time or whatever, making a big deal of it, for them and everything, and make them feel like all of a sudden, wow, this is really a nice place to come to, So yeah, anything I can do.
Exactly. Dustin?
I want to jump back. Did you ever see that cabbie ever again, or was that just a one-off taking care of each other moment?
Say again?
Did you ever see that cabbie again, or was that just a one-off taking care of each other moment?
I went back to San Francisco. Okay.
Yeah.
So I haven't been, when I left the Bronx that visit, I went back to San
Right.
Francisco, and it was years later, I went back to the Bronx again. So never got
Yeah.
to see that guy ever again. But like I said, it's funny how, and I'll put it in my own words. It's funny how the Lord puts people in front of you to help you out
Amen.
when times of need. When I thought I'm not going to get home, here's this guy who says, "Come on in," and didn't want to even charge me. Like that's why I say he was my angel. All of a sudden, where you come from? Thank you. So things, and it's been like that through my whole life, pretty much. Going to the Mint, working with these guys, it was like, wow, this is going to be okay. I'm okay. I'm not working with civilians that are asking questions that are, to me, I think they're pretty stupid to ask, of any veteran. Don't ask those questions, So it was nice talking to these guys, and nice, all of us got through this whole thing pretty good. So yeah, things like that work out.
Nice. And what, a lot of the reasons that we started this podcast is to start bridging gaps. The shared experience, you can go back World War One. We've read about Homer's written poems about Achilles' letters home, and it very much describes it wasn't obviously called PTS back then, but the same type of thoughts and shared experiences all through the generations up until today. What advice do you have for veterans coming back today to help with that transition?
Like you say, if it's difficult to make that transition, please get help. Don't think that, like I said before, don't throw dirt on it and walk it off. It's just, that's not going to work. Get some help. It doesn't mean you're less of a person, okay? It means that you're a strong person, that you're a fighter. And that's what you were trained to do, okay? At this point in time, it's you're fighting for yourself. Please, I ask that, just reach out, okay? There's a lot of places out there. VA also has some resources, very good resources. Reach out. That's all I keep saying,
Yeah. And
give up.
we've talked, and I guess the gamut too, just in terms of employment. You got right into it right away. And do you think that was better for you to dive right in, or some people taking a lot of time to kind of come to equilibrium, shall we say? Do you think?
I personally, I can do downtime for a little bit. I cannot do downtime for a lot. So 18 months would have been way too much for me and probably put me in a slump. Staying busy is the best thing, because your mind stays busy. It doesn't dwell, and dwell is horrible. Okay. So to me, it's wonderful. I'm still working, but I'm working, 3 days a week, 7 hours a day. I'm out here in this beautiful sunshine. My uniform is shorts and a polo shirt. Okay. So that tells you year round, by the way. I love it. I absolutely love it. I'm where I want to be. The beach is close to here also. That gives me my alone time to just take a nice long walk on the beach and everything, and never know what you see. Dolphins, or you may see a manatee out there, or you may see a sea turtle. Never know. So it's nice. Like I said, I have all the things, like they usually say, find a place of peace that gives you peace. Well, I have found a place that gives me total peace is here. So I'm good with it.
Have you ever seen a shark?
Yes. Of course, we're on a boat.
My ongoing battle with RB Alexander of why I don't go in the ocean, just confirmed again. Thank you.
Well, no, I don't tend to worry about them as much. We have a place here called Lake Miaka, and it's just right down the road from us. That's, as a matter of fact, where the National Cemetery is at, Sarasota National Cemetery. My mom and dad are buried there. And Lake Miaka has over 1,000 alligators. Beautiful place, beautiful. there's trails, there's all kinds of stuff there that you can do. Take the little, they have a flat bottom boat that just chugs slowly across the water, but they give a nice tour of the whole lake, and you get to see all the alligators and stuff like that on a good day, you know. So, and you learn a lot about them. People actually go fishing in waders inside there, and I'm going, no, they're nuts. Well, there's a certain, alligators only feed when the environment is correct for them. You know, if it's too cold, no, they don't eat. So you're safe. I still don't trust it. It's a wildlife. I don't care. You know, I don't care what you pay me. I'm not going in that water, you know. But people do. I mean, but they're from here. They know what they can and can't do.
I know that reminds me of when I was in Australia in 2002. We're in Sydney and took the harbor tour, and you know, it's a narrated recording, but you go back, there's this place called Manly Cove. It's got some nice houses on it, and the narrator is like, this is some of the most dangerous waters in Australia. It's a shark breeding ground. And he was talking about an eccentric American author in like the 1920s, 30s, wanted to prove that sharks weren't dangerous. And so he would swim in Manly Cove twice a day, swim across it and back. And he's like, see, everything's fine. And everything was fine until a shark ate him.
Oh my God.
Yeah, they're like, he's dead now. A shark ate him.
That's it.
So everything's fine with the fishers until
There you go. Yeah. I said, I respect wildlife, truly respect it. You know, it's nice to see. Like when I finally saw my first bear, the distance was about, 500 feet, so it was at the perfect distance that I wanted, and I was in my car. So I felt really safe there, but I'm not going to get out there and get close to things. It's just not, I don't know. I don't trust things that you have no control over.
No need to tempt fate. Fate always wins.
No, exactly.
So, anything from Taos, New Mexico, Mr. Sweet?
Oh, Luis, thanks for joining us today.
No, thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate you guys. It's good seeing Dave. I haven't seen him in forever and a day, and I miss him.
I feel that way every time I see his smiling face. Isn't it great? What a great guy.
Well, my favorite. Sometimes I smile.
I just enjoyed the days that we rode all the way down to Oregon together. I look forward to it every time. It was fun.
Well, and as an officer, you come in and you check the duty roster, and it's kind of like, oh, okay, good. Sanchez is our soup today. Like, it'll be a good day. we did not do that about every supervisor. I'll just leave it there.
Well, thank you again for having me on the pod and everything. And when will it be presented?
It's happening right now.
No. Yeah, you're live. No. It will come out. It will come out on Monday. I'll send you a link beforehand. Show it to your friends, family, enemies. Click's a click.
No enemies.
Yeah. So, but for the audience who's with us, thank you for joining us. Make sure, same thing, friends, family, enemy, anything, tell your friends, give us a like, a subscribe. Enjoy your Monday afternoon when you're listening to this, or Tuesday, Wednesday.
Will do.
You've been listening to the Know Their Story podcast. If you made it this far, we must be doing something right. Let us know by subscribing to our channel.
And think about sitting down with the veterans in your life, because saying thank you for your service should be the beginning of the conversation, not the end.